don't waste time. There are a lot of times in your life where you feel like you could just to go back and change those things in your life. And if you would have actually done that, if you would actually spent the time on the things you're actually supposed to do, that you would probably actually be further ahead in your life right now. And there are many times that I felt that same way. That, yeah, I put forth effort sometimes, but it wasn't consistent. It wasn't ever something I've always been consistent with. And then it wasn't until late, right? The past couple of years, a lot's changed in my life, and a lot, I feel like, is because I felt like time isn't as abundant as we like to assume it is. Now, yes, we don't live in that time where the average age, right? The average lifespan was 30-some years old. We're past that. We have modern medicine and all these things, so we expect to live longer. But I think like anything, we put this expectation that, yeah, we're gonna live till we're 80, 90, so, what's the big deal? I can just spend my time on whatever I want, right? And you should spend that time doing what makes you happy. But I think the biggest thing is you work, maybe 40 hours a week. Maybe some of you work even more than that, right? Maybe you work 2-3 jobs and you have very little time to yourself. I mean, we all come from different walks of life, and a lot of times, I find that we live in the past, right? Some of us live in the past, or we have moments where we do live in the past to times that were better, right? At times that we thought we were happy, times that we thought things were just, great, like the greatest moment of our life, right? And we all have those moments. And then we have those moments where we think about the future and what it has in store for us. And all those moments that could be, tied in with that particular moment that we could experience. And so we might work hard towards that. And yet there's a lot of times when we just forget the present moment, the moment that's actually guaranteed, this current moment. And I know a lot of people can say, well, if it's only guaranteed and tomorrow, may not be guaranteed, then why don't I just, sit and eat whatever I want and do whatever I want? And, truth to the matter, we all have responsibilities, right? We have some sort of responsibility, whether that's even just the bare minimum of just trying to keep a roof over your head and the water running. But time is not guaranteed, and it's not in abundance. And I think a lot of times we're so caught up in our past or caught up in the future that we forget that, and we're really blinded by the present moment and what's going on in this present moment. And a lot of times we don't want to see the present moment, and there were many times in my life where I don't want to see the present moment, so I try to escape. And the best way to do that was to either watch TV, or possibly even some of us take up drinking or a bunch of different other things that are detrimental to our health. And we don't see it as such, right? We feel like we worked hard enough, we deserve a break. And what I think we need to understand is that time, again, is not guaranteed. And I am really starting to reflect on time a lot lately, because time just seems to fly by every day. Like, it blurs together. That's how fast time is flying. And I try to be as present as possible. And there are a lot of times where I have to correct myself, where I do look in the past or I do look in the present. And I think that's what's important, is to really look at what matters to you, right? If you're in a situation where you're not happy for whatever reason, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's, whatever, right? I mean, time is limited, and you shouldn't put yourself in those situations in which you're not happy. And for many things in my life, I've been successful in my job and in my career, and still there were times where I didn't feel like I was really happy, right? You achieve these things and you don't feel happy because you're not living in the moment. You're not appreciating what's going on around you. And I think, again, we escape so much that it becomes the norm. That, you come home from work and you're like, okay, well, I'm done with work. Like, I don't want to think about anything really. I just want to, watch TV and escape. And, you forget about the beauty of everything and the relationships and everything else. It just kind of, you push it to the side and really neglect stuff because you're always thinking about, hey, grass could be greener on the other side, right? And so you go into that whole thinking mode as opposed to appreciating the moment, appreciating what is here, what is guaranteed, what you actually have. And I think that's why a lot of these, different concepts of gratitude and stuff like that really help, because you start to appreciate the now. You focus on the now. And that's why meditation and stuff like that is so extremely beneficial, because you become more self-aware of what you're doing, whether you're thinking about the past or thinking about the future. And we spend a good majority of our time in either one of those two and not so much in the present. Not until something, some kind of emergency is going on, or perhaps we're having a conversation, whatever the moment is, right? That's when we actually concentrate on the present moment. And a lot of times we find our minds drifting, and that's why stuff like meditation and stuff can help you with the self-awareness that can help, bring you back into the now. And, before starting really getting heavily into books, personal development books and stuff, I was always that way, right? I was always either in the past or in the future, and not really looking at what matters, right? And reflecting about all the time that I've wasted, just doing all these things, living somebody else's life essentially, right? Because that's what you're doing when you're, reading a fantasy book or watching a movie or playing video games. All those things are great. I'm not saying to remove those things, but everything has to come in chunks, right? Like, you should really pay attention to how many of those chunks are you really trying to escape your present state, and to realize that there's just more out there, that you could feel so much better. Like, we look at social media and we look at all these different things and in the movies, and we're like, man, why can't I have that life? But again, we're brought back to this whole past and future aspect of ourselves, right? And I'll just wait until then, and then I'll live like them, right? And that's just the biggest thing. If you can stay in the moment and appreciate what you have, and be focused on the moment to make those changes in your life, to become more connected with yourself, to connect that body and mind, and allow yourself to enjoy life. You find that you can find joy without having to go out and buy something, or start a relationship, or be in a relationship that's not making you happy. And I think that's just extremely important, to stay in that mindset, to stay in the present moment, and not waste the time, because it's not until you really experience death, right? Now, whether that's a friend or a family member, I wasn't really close to experiencing any kind of death until my father passed, and then it really got me thinking about time, right? Time is really of the essence. If there's something you really want to do, do it now. Tomorrow, it definitely is not guaranteed, and I know we hear that all the time, because I know I myself heard it all the time, right? And it's not until you realize, right, people will work their whole lives and not do the things that they want, or wait till they're 65 and they retire. And then when they retire, sometimes they're too old to move. Sometimes, they just don't have it anymore. And then it's like too late, right? You're kind of just living, waiting to die at that point, as opposed to living your life the way you want to, or being in a relationship that you don't want to, or a job you don't want to, and figure, hey, it just pays the bills. Well, I mean, what more can I do? Only to go home to escape more, right? So I think time is the most valuable thing you have, and you really have to take advantage of it and really try to connect to yourself and make yourself better, right? Deal with those inner demons, deal with whatever it is. Use that time to your advantage and build the things you want and find your happiness. That's ultimately what your time is for, is to find, whatever time you do have on this planet, to find your joy, find your happiness, and that's ultimately what it's about. And so for those people out there who just, are like, well, I don't want to waste any more time in my life, do something about it. Whatever it's got to be. Again, tomorrow's not guaranteed, but if you're putting forth the effort, right? If you're doing all these things to make tomorrow better, if tomorrow should come, well, then it makes you better. It makes you that greater of a person, because, you were trying, you were in that state of trying. That's ultimately what matters, right? It's just to enjoy the journey. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. We could wake up with something and not even realize it, right? Just go to a doctor's and then, oops, by the way, you have this. And then at that point, we realize that time is valuable, when time is getting ready to be taken away from us. And some of us don't even have that luxury of knowing when time will be taken. And so it's always important to do the things that you love, to do the things that you enjoy, and seek those things that maybe you have always been curious about. So I hope this helps you guys. If it did, smash that like button. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.